Scary Night turned into an outstanding love story, thanks to him. The screams outside my window. They're coming up the stairs. That was the text I got at 1:48 a.m. on a Tuesday night. No name, no context, just those 6 words. I stared at my phone, heart pounding. Then 3 knocks, slow, measured, on my apartment door. 2 weeks ago, I was just another exhausted woman in a big city, scraping by on temp jobs and cold leftovers. Living alone in a run-down apartment on the 7th floor, I kept my head down and my doors locked. My name is Naomi, and I never believed in guardian angels. Until that night. It started with a blackout. The whole building went dark, suddenly and completely. No lights, no street sounds, just silence. And then a woman screamed. I rushed to my peephole. Dark, nothing. I turned off all the lights in my place, even though they were already useless. My instincts told me to stay quiet, invisible. Then came that message. They're coming up the stairs. I don't know who sent it. I didn't recognize the number. Was it spam? A mistake? Or a warning? I should have called the police. But my phone showed no service, no bars, no data, just the eerie glow of the text message on my cracked screen. If you find value in real stories told with clarity and truth, make sure to subscribe to stay informed with Left Woman Loud. I backed away from the door. The knocks came again. Then, a low voice. Naomi, open the door. I know you're in there. I froze. No one should know my name. I hadn't given it to anyone in the building. I pressed myself against the wall, holding my breath. My mind raced. Who was he? How did he know me? Why now? And then, something shifted in the hallway. A second voice, louder, angry. Wrong apartment. She's in 703. This is 705. Footsteps rushed away. But I lived in 703. So, who just saved me? I waited, curled in the dark for what felt like hours. When I finally opened my door a crack at dawn, there was a note taped to it. Stay quiet tonight. Don't trust anyone on your floor. 705. The man behind door 705. The handwriting. It matched an old note I kept tucked in a forgotten book. A note from someone I hadn't seen in over 5 years. Elias. He used to leave me small things in college. Study tips scribbled on paper, reminders to eat, once even a dumb drawing of me as Wonder Woman. We never dated. We weren't even close friends. He just noticed me when no one else did. And then he disappeared. Now he lived next door. Or someone with his handwriting did. I didn't sleep that night. I stared at the walls, afraid of every creak, every shadow under the door. The next morning, the building felt unchanged. Kids ran down the hall, a woman argued over laundry. The world pretended like nothing had happened. But I saw it in their eyes. Everyone knew something, and no one was talking. I slipped the note from 705 into my coat and made my way down the emergency stairwell. No elevators, no cameras, just the stench of mold and bleach. On the 5th floor, someone had painted a red X on one of the doors. No explanation, no cleanup. At the grocery store, I tried to forget it all. I tried to live normally. But in the cereal aisle, I saw him. Elias. Taller, broader, but same messy hair, same eyes that never quite look directly at you. He was holding a can of soup and staring at it like it might explode. I didn't think, I just walked over. "You left me a note." He didn't jump. He didn't even blink. He just said, "I wasn't sure if you'd read it." "What happened last night?" He sighed, glanced over his shoulder, then whispered, "You ever wonder why rent is so cheap here?" We left our carts, walked out. No words, just the shared hum of panic and questions. Outside, under the shadow of the building, he stopped. "Naomi, you're not safe. Not because of me, because they think you know something. And once they think that, they won't stop watching." I opened my mouth to respond, but my phone buzzed again. No number, just one word. Run. But someone else had a different plan. Run where? Hide how? I didn't ask questions. I grabbed Elias's hand and ran. He didn't fight it. He just followed, guiding me through a narrow alley behind the market. There were no cameras back there, no foot traffic, just dumpsters, rats, and breathless silence. When we finally stopped, I stared at him. "You said they think I know something." I panted. "But I don't. I don't know anything." He looked at me with something between pity and fear. "You were in the elevator last Friday, right? Around 11 p.m.? I nodded. "And a man got in. Sunglasses, long coat, Eastern European accent?" I blinked. "Yeah." He didn't press a floor, just stared ahead. He closed his eyes. "That wasn't an accident. That man wasn't a tenant. And you saw his face." He pulled out his phone. Not an iPhone, some beat-up brick-shaped thing from the early 2000s. No GPS, no tracking, he muttered. Then showed me a grainy black and white photo. My stomach turned cold. It was him, the man from the elevator, but in this photo, he wasn't wearing sunglasses. He was holding a gun.
"Who is he?" I asked. "A courier, for something very expensive, very dangerous, and very missing." "Missing?" I echoed. He nodded grimly. "And they think you took it." I wanted to laugh, scream, deny. But deep down, something cracked. Because I had seen him drop something, a flash drive. He'd bent down to tie his shoe, and when he stood up, it was gone. I never picked it up, but someone might have thought I did. Someone who watched security cameras? "I need to go back," I whispered. "I need to check." Elias grabbed my arm. "If you go back now, Naomi, you won't walk out again." We stood in silence. Then he reached into his jacket and pulled out keys. "Come with me, just for a day or two. Somewhere they won't look." I stared at them. Old keys, a rusted ring, a worn tag that said Cabin 14. "Run with me," he said softly. "Please." I should have said no. I should have gone to the cops. I should have done anything but what I did next. I nodded. And that's how I ended up in his car 40 miles out of town with no idea what was waiting. What I didn't know was that Cabin 14 had been used before to hide someone who never came back. Cabin 14 had a locked door. The road to the cabin twisted like a secret. The trees thickened with every mile, the signal bars on my phone vanishing one by one. Elias didn't say much, just stared at the road, fingers tight on the wheel. I didn't know what scared me more, the silence outside or the silence between us. Cabin 14 looked like it hadn't been touched since 1994. Wood chipped, one window cracked, but it was isolated. Safe, at least for now. Or so I thought. He unlocked the door. We stepped into the dusty air. No electricity, just oil lamps and an ancient stove. I dropped my bag and turned to him. "You've done this before, haven't you?" He nodded once. "I came here after the Istanbul job. Stayed 3 weeks. No one found me." I froze. "Istanbul job?" He flinched. "That's not important. What is important is staying off grid." He lit a lamp. The shadows danced wildly against the walls. Then I saw it. A second door, in the back of the cabin. Steel, bolted, locked. "What's that?" I asked. He turned slowly. "The reason I stayed alive." That night, I couldn't sleep. Every sound outside felt like footsteps. Every creak like breath. At 3:07 a.m., I heard something. Not outside. From behind the steel door. A thud. Then another. I grabbed Elias's arm, whispering, "There's someone in there." He sat up, eyes wide. "No, Naomi, there's no one left." He stood, grabbed the oil lamp, and walked toward the steel door. Unlocked it slowly. Behind it was a staircase. Stone. Narrow. Leading down. "What is this?" I asked, heart pounding. He hesitated. "A fallout room. Built by a man who thought the world would end." He turned to face me. "But it's also where someone was kept, for 9 days, until the people looking for that flash drive gave up." "Are you telling me I'm next?" I whispered. He looked away. "I'm telling you, you're the first one I'm trying to save." I should have left. Should have run into the woods, barefoot and screaming. But I didn't. Instead, I asked, "And who saved you, Elias?" His voice cracked. "No one." That was the moment. The moment I realized this wasn't just hiding. It was redemption. But someone was already on their way. And they weren't coming to negotiate. The visitor with no sound. Elias disappeared at dawn. I woke to the cold imprint of his body beside me, the cabin still filled with shadows, and a single note on the table. "Stay quiet. Stay inside. I'll be back before dark." But he didn't say where he went or why. I spent the morning pacing. The second door, the one with the stairs, remained closed. But its presence was heavy, like it knew I was watching. I peeked outside once. The forest stood still. No birds, no breeze, just A silence so deep it felt personal. Then came the knock. Not hard, not loud, just one knock, like a whisper on wood. I froze. No one was supposed to know we were here. I didn't speak, didn't move. Another knock. This time, slower, almost gentle. I crept toward the window and barely lifted the curtain. No one. Not a soul. I stepped back, but then saw it. A footprint. Fresh, in the mud. Just one. My hands trembled as I grabbed the emergency phone Elias had left. No signal, of course. I went to the steel door, unlocked it with shaking hands, and opened it. The darkness below smelled of metal and old secrets. But I stepped in and closed the door behind me. It wasn't just a bunker. It was a memory. Old furniture, a cot. Drawings on the walls, made with nail files and desperation. I sat on the cold bed, arms around my knees. That's when I saw it. A tiny metal disc tucked in the wall socket. A listening device. Someone had been here, watching, waiting. I grabbed it, climbed the stairs, and opened the door just enough to peek outside again. No one. But something on the porch made my blood stop. A single envelope. No address, no writing, just my name in red ink. Inside was a photo of me in the elevator with him, the man with the coat, the courier, and Elias standing in the corner of the frame, watching us. He'd told me he didn't know the man, but he was there, that night. I dropped the photo, my mind screaming. If he lied about this, what else did he lie about?
And someone out there wanted me to know. I was never hidden. I was always being watched. Truth doesn't knock, it breaks in. I waited. Hours passed. Elias didn't return. The envelope stayed on the table, mocking me in its stillness. His face, my face, that man, together in a single frame that changed everything. He said he didn't know him, so why was he in the same elevator, watching? Night fell, but I didn't light the lamps. I didn't want to be seen. Not again. Around 10 p.m., I heard the car, tires crunching on gravel. I peeked through the curtain, heart in my throat. It was Elias. He looked tired, his eyes scanning the woods like he expected ghosts. He stepped inside and froze when he saw the photo on the table. "You left this for me?" I asked, my voice flat. His face turned pale. "No. Where did you get that?" "It was here, after you left." I threw the envelope at him. "Who is he, Elias? Why were you there?" He sat down slowly, like the weight of the truth might break him. "He said I was tracking him before you ever knew him." I laughed bitterly. "Then why didn't you warn me?" He looked up. "Because you were already in love." I didn't speak. Couldn't. He continued. "His name's Theo Karis, former intelligence. Went rogue 2 years ago. Last seen in Athens, then Amsterdam. He vanished. Until he showed up in your life." My stomach turned. "All this time, you were spying on me?" "No. I was trying to protect you. You just didn't know from what." I stood up. "You should have told me." He nodded.
I wanted to. But if I did, they'd know I compromised the operation. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about family or love. This was a mission. And I was just the leverage. You used me, I whispered. No, Naomi, I tried to save you. I didn't believe him. Not fully. But I wanted to. God, I needed to. Just then, bang, the window shattered. We both ducked. Glass flew, a bullet embedded in the wooden beam above us. Elias reached for the hidden gun under the table. Another shot. Basement, now, he shouted. We ran. But this time, I wasn't scared of the shooter. I was scared of the truth I was running from. Who was Elias, really? And if the bullets didn't kill me, maybe the truth would. The trap beneath our feet. The bunker door slammed shut behind us. Dark, cold. No sound but our breathing and the hum of tension between us. Elias flicked on the emergency light. His hands were steady. Mine were not. Someone shot at us, and all I want to ask is, why didn't he flinch? He moved fast, locked the door, checked the walls, like he'd done this before. Too many times. You have 5 minutes, I said, my voice shaking. Tell me the truth. All of it. He didn't argue. He sat, and finally opened the vault of secrets between us. I was recruited at 23, not military, intelligence. I hunted men like Tio. He looked down. But somewhere along the way, I realized something. They weren't the only monsters. He said Tio used to be one of them. Sharp, clean, brilliant. Until he vanished with 6 million in crypto and a hard drive full of surveillance data. Then he started showing up near women with ties to politicians, judges, CEOs, women like me. That night at the bar, it wasn't random. He chose you. He clenched his jaw. You weren't his first. I tried to swallow the weight of his words. You said I was safe. I thought you were. Until I found this. He pulled out a folder from under the cot. Inside, photos of me. Screenshots of my phone. Audio transcripts from before I ever met Elias. How long has he been watching me? Elias didn't answer. He didn't need to. I dropped the folder. Tears stung my eyes, not just from fear, from betrayal. You said you loved me. I do. Then why did it take a bullet for you to finally be honest? The room fell into silence until tap, tap, tap on the ceiling above us. We froze. They were here. Elias pulled me into the narrow crawl space in the back. He handed me a key. If I don't come back, take the tunnel. It will lead to the river. I grabbed his wrist. No, we do this together. He looked at me with a kind of sorrow I couldn't decode. I'm sorry I lied. Then he kissed me. Not like a goodbye, but like a promise he wasn't sure he could keep. He rose, gun drawn, and vanished into the shadows. What I didn't know was that kiss might be the last real thing I'd ever feel again. Echoes of love and lies. I waited in the dark. 1 minute, then 5, then 10. The crawl space felt like a coffin, and every creak above was a nail sealing it shut. If Elias died up there, I'd never know what was truth and what was love in disguise. Suddenly, footsteps. Light ones. A shadow appeared at the hatch. I clutched the small knife Elias had left me. The figure bent down.
Naomi? It was not Elias, a face I hadn't seen since that rainy Tuesday in Berlin. Theo. He smiled like we were lovers reuniting. I was wondering when we'd finally speak without the middleman. I backed up. Theo, why? He crouched, calm, like this was chess, not war. You were perfect, brilliant. Isolated, but most importantly, angry at the world. He tilted his head. That's what made you easy to follow. I gritted my teeth. I was never yours. He chuckled. You were never his either. He tossed something toward me. It slid on the floor. Elias's ID badge, splattered with blood. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just froze. Because that badge wasn't from intelligence.
It was from a private Black Ops contractor. Meaning, Elias had lied. Again. Theo stood. He played the hero, I played the monster, but neither of us told you the truth. He turned to leave. The tunnel's still open, but next time you pick a lover, make sure he bleeds for the right side. He was gone. Just like that. And I sat there in the crawlspace, holding two lies. One covered in blood, the other wearing my name like a leash. Who am I if I can't trust the man who saved me or the one who hunted me? I didn't know yet, but I was done being someone else's game piece. I took the key and I ran. The river doesn't lie. The tunnel stank of mold and rusted regret. Every footstep echoed like a memory I didn't want back. But I kept going. Past the water stains, past the broken roots, past the hope that maybe Elias was still alive. He kissed me like a promise, but promises, like men, lie. The tunnel ended at a small river inlet. Above me, dawn cracked the sky open in faint gold. I crawled out, wet, cold. Alive, but not alone. On the opposite bank, Elias, wounded, pale, bleeding from the shoulder. He smiled like he wasn't dying. He said, I told you, the river leads to light. I ran to him, dropped to my knees. You lied to me. I did. You let him find me. I didn't mean to. You loved me. His voice broke. I still do. We sat in silence, water lapping against the rocks. I whispered, you have a choice now. You can tell me everything, or this ends here. Elias looked at the rising sun, not me. I was hired to get close, but I stayed because I saw you, not the asset. You. He swallowed hard. I left the agency for you. Theo wanted you for leverage, but I wanted you for life. I should have stood up and walked away. I didn't. I don't trust you, I said. Not yet. Then let me earn it, every day, if you'll let me. The silence stretched, until I nodded. Not because I forgave him, but because I finally chose me. And this time, no man would write my story but me. A year later, I moved to a coastal town with no name on the mailbox. Elias showed up every first Sunday. Sometimes he brought coffee. Sometimes he just sat on the porch. He never asked for forgiveness, and I never offered it. But we were healing. Two broken people, not fixing each other, just learning to hold the cracks in sunlight.
He didn't save me, but he taught me how to stop running. And sometimes, that's where love really begins.